Hey everybody, I'm Tim here with Aaron Michaelis of Flint Knoll Wines, and it's time for a masterclass in barrel aging. You're watching Cigars Daily. Get even more out of this video when you join the community on Cigars Daily Plus. And for this video, we have both just lit up the Macanudo Flint Knoll, a high-end refined barrel-aged blend that comes out of French oak barrels used to age the Flint Knoll Cab Sauv that we both have in front of us here. What a hell of an experience, man. There's an amazing marriage of flavors, but Aaron, I got to dive into the barrel aging process for you because what you're doing here is it's like a pioneering of barrel aging, like exploration here. So, what the hell? Where did this come from? Like, did you go to the desert and do peyote in a teepee for 3 days to come up with this idea?
With Aaron, with the other Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, we did it. We did it. Yep. Yep, for sure.
Dude, take me into this, man. First of all, I know you've been a big wine guy for a long time, a cigar guy for even longer. We talked about that previously in the last video we did together. But now you've got a result of your process here, and you've done it with barrel aging, man. I'm so intrigued to hear about this.
Tim, thank you. You know, we're very fortunate. My husband and wife team here in Napa Valley, creating some really beautiful Napa wines with our incredible winemaking team, Philippe Melka at the helm, creating some world-class wines. Really incredible vineyards, using the best French oak from France to add these beautiful textures and nuances to our wines. But being a lover of cigars and growing up and originally falling in love with wine because of working in a cigar shop right next to a wine shop, thought it would be a lot of fun to take an American broadleaf tobacco and throwing those into our French oak barrels that made our world-class Cabernet, one of them, and giving a nuance to that binder, to the wrapper, to the fillers, and giving you, the smoker, an incredible experience, nuances of French oak, the fruitness of the cab, and giving you layer of just delicate sexiness.
Dude, this is what I'm pulling out of this is, like you say, layer and layer of sort of delicate flavors here. And that is absolutely what there is. You've mentioned in this flavor a little bit of vanilla, and there is really nice, accessible vanilla. On the back end of the retrohale, I pick out some of that nice oak note there. But you're also not the first one to do barrel aging, right? Like other people have done this before. There are other lines that are barrel aged, and even some guys go as far as the barrel fermentation. That's not what you're doing, right? Not barrel fermentation.
We're just aging the binder, the American binder, in those barrels that produce from. Release one is the 2018 Royal Appointment. The second release, which you're smoking right now, is the 2019 Royal Appointment, or Cabernet from the Valley floor, and really shows that growing season on the farming in this wine region called Napa Valley, and adding that personality to the smoking experience, to the cigar. Those just little characteristics are going to show the more fruit forwardness of the 19, which you're smoking right now, because it was a little bit of a riper year. 2018 was a little more bolder, more unctuous on the palate. No fermentation happening here. It's just the aging of that binder and that pulling those flavor from the oak and from the wine and giving a sweetness, a fruitiness in a very delicate way. And then like the white pepper and that, again, that little soft touch of vanilla, and giving just this really beautiful coating of your palate with the smoke.
So
Perfect.
Tell me about this blend. You know, before you barrel age this, it's a very different cigar. And if I'm not mistaken, what you're barrel aging is underneath an Ecuador Connecticut wrapper leaf on the outside, very silky coffee with cream in it, colored wrapper leaf. Underneath that is a dark American broadleaf binder, and that's what's gone into your French oak barrels for release number 1 and number 2. Am I right?
Yep, that's correct. And then we use a Mata Fina from Brazil as a filler, a Jalapa, and a Palito Color in the fillers to give even more of a balance in the flavor and kind of pulling everything in. You know, it is not meant to be knock you off your socks powerful. We didn't want to use too many strong tobaccos, but we wanted to give them all to kind of create this really beautiful symphony of flavor. And if we were to use too many stronger tobaccos, it would have masked, because of the French oak and the wine, is not super pronounced. So if we use too strong of a tobacco, we would have lost those beautiful things that we were wanting to show. So we use that hardy Ecuadorian Connecticut, and then that sexy broadleaf, which is very hardy and sturdy and does well, especially aging in the French oak, and really absorbs its environment. So it's when you take a cigar and you age it in an aging room and you have it in the cedar or whatever you're aging in it, that tobacco is going to take on those nuances. And that's what we wanted to do to this binder that was really built for combustion and a little bit of flavor, but let's kick it up at a really exotic amount with using these French oak barrels, which are produced by a company called Darnajou, which are super premium, highly allocated, very expensive. And we use 8 barrels every year to produce this Cabernet that are new. And, they're around, $1,800 to $2,000 brand new a pop, just to make one vintage of wine. And then those barrels, after they make the wine, we ship them to the DR and they're aged in this tobacco.
Now, I'm curious about this. You're probably one of very, very few people that have had this blend right here as it stands by itself. And then with that barrel aged binder leaf, what to you are the key differences? What do you get from the barrel? What part of this flavor is contributed that you would be missing without it? The missing piece.
The missing piece, especially when you age it, when you had the first one, you notice that it was getting a little more spice. I think these are such great aging cigars as well, because you start getting more and more of the oak when it ages. When they're younger, you're going to get a little more of the wine and a little more of that sweetness in the berry of what's going on there. It's not this like kind of like added sweetness, but it's just, you can kind of get this fruitiness of like when you think of coffee versus, coffee from Africa, and you're going to get those different regions that are going to give you this spiciness. And then you get different, coffee from Colombia, which is going to give you a different nuance. This wine with these cigars, when they're younger, you're going to get a little more of that fruit and kind of that little more acidity in the cigar. Sure. And then with age, you're going to get this more softer, and then you're going to start really getting the oak flavors and this like white pepper and like toasted cashew thing going on. And it's really, really fun just to watch it evolve.
These are charred barrels, right?
Yep, medium toast is what we use. You can get them from lightly toasted to medium plus the heavy toast. What that's going to do to the wine that you're producing it is going to give you more tannin, going to give you a little more stronger the more you toast it. It's going to give you a bigger mouthfeel. So you're really going to get that dryness on your palate when the heavier the toasting is, and it's going to kind of pull back the sweetness of the oak and give you a little more tannin, a little more grip, and for like longer aging wines. But when you're working with this fruit that we're working with in the Valley Floor, really subtle, really more elegant and, umptuous Cabernet. So you don't want to mask that with too much tannin. So we were using this medium plus, which doesn't give it too much char. It's going to really give you more oak and a little more fruit flavors in your wine.
This occurs to me as a cigar that, for the nuanced flavor, it's not a smoke it while you're doing yard work cigar. It's not a smoke it for me while I'm driving around in my truck cigar, and those are some of my favorite times to smoke a cigar. But certainly this, like, when you reserve a time to sit down and smoke where you can get rid of some distractions and really dive into flavor, this is a flavor that's deeper. It's a wide flavor. There's a lot of complexity, but there's a nice depth to this that if you can like set aside the rest of the world and really ask yourself what you're getting out of it, there's a lot to attain, even for a developing palate out there. I mean, I'm impressed as I sit, normally when I smoke cigars, I'm at my desk, I'm typing away on the computer, I'm making graphic art, or I'm shooting a video or something like that. And this, just sitting here, diving into this flavor, it feels like I haven't even quite touched my toes to the bottom of the deep end quite yet, experiencing the retrohale again and again. I mean, for you, like, what are the key components to getting every bit of flavor out of this? So, we're talking about barrel aging, but I want to hear from you, like, for you to capture all the flavor from a cigar, do you have a routine or a ritual?
I agree with you. When I smoke cigars, it is by myself typically. It is after entertaining a lot of people and sharing our blessings here in Napa Valley and showing our wines. But that time to just shut down and reflect and just enjoy the rewards of our hard work is to light up a cigar and to not really let anything distract me. And when we created this cigar, it is supposed to build when you're smoking it. I think some of the best cigars start one way, and by the time that you finish it, it takes you on this little journey.
That is what I think the cigar world is gives a lot of people. There's a lot of things I talk about that I love with cigars. I love that cigars are about community. We get together and we smoke. You know, I love that they're about flavor, but certainly there's a point where the cigars that really define our love for cigars tend to be almost that, what you said. It's almost like a spiritual experience. Like you're like, oh yeah, the flavor is so good. It's an aha moment for you. And
Yes.
for everybody who's watching this, I'll ask you to drop a comment. What was that cigar for you that just, shattered your perception of what good flavor is? If you're looking for refinement of flavor and a cigar that gives you access to that aha moment, sitting down, putting away some distractions, maybe pour a glass of wine or even a glass of coffee, pour yourself a nice bourbon, something that you want to pair with. But this cigar has complex flavor that goes very deep and is a hell of an experience. As a guy personally, Aaron, I'll tell you, I have been on a massive kick of very strong cigars recently. I spent probably my first 15 or so years in cigars being really into Connecticut shade, really into mild stuff. And just in the last year or so, a couple of years, I've been really delved into the stronger stuff, the Mexican San Andreas, the broadleafs. And so,
Oh yeah.
like, for me to pull out a cigar like this, that is a mild to medium strength cigar and still get that unbelievable depth of experience. Well, I don't find other Connecticut cigars that are giving a lot of other Connecticut cigars that are giving that much of that right now. And B, this has got that, what I call that level of refinement, right? You can get a good Connecticut and it's good. They're decent. There's a lot of them out there, but it's the difference between sort of your Macallan and like the Macallan 12 year, right? Or
Yes.
like special reserve,
The 25 or oh yeah.
stuff you pay a lot
Where you
extra. Well,
really get, it's like liquid caramel, and you're like, oh boy, no one talked to me. Let me finish this scotch.
that's what
Absolutely.
this has been for me in a Connecticut blend. And so I thank you so much, man. I am so unbelievably grateful for this cigar and the whole experience of doing all of this with you. I can see you're at the vineyard there now. Tell me, what's the next big thing to expect from you?
We're playing with some of our hillside single vineyards, some of the most sought after, really incredible vineyards here in Napa. We make some of these big, powerful cabs from these vineyards, all in the hills. This Royal Appointment's from the valley floor, so you're going to get these really more fruit forward and elegant wine. But we're going to use those barrels that we made those really, really, really intense Cabernets, and we're going to do the same thing and kick it up a notch. This is the little Rolls Royce, beautiful, elegant, singing one, but we're going to kick it up a notch, probably a little more of a profile, what you're smoking right now, just to kind of play with it, because we're learning as we're doing this, because this is, the first time that I know of anybody really working with French oak barrels that make really honed in small production vineyards to really give those different nuances and complexities.
Amazing. So everybody watching at home, you can look forward to a lot more from Flint Knoll. And if you haven't tried it, I do recommend it. An excellent pairing cigar. As Aaron already mentioned, a blend that's primed for aging and gives you a whole lot just in and of itself as a nice, complex, deep Connecticut. Aaron, thanks again so much for joining me, brother.
Tim, thank you. God bless you and happy holidays.
Thank you. Everybody watching at home, thanks again for joining us. This is Tim and Aaron, both signing off for Cigars Daily, and I will see you in the comments.